Good. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Friday Senior Solutions Agency call. My name is Joe Johnson. I'm going to be your host today. If you tune into our show on a regular basis, you know Jimmy Hernandez, agency director. My good friend and partner is typically my co-host. He has a very, very important client that he is on the way out to go see, doing a lot of tax preparation, and this is a big, big client. So he could not miss that. So unfortunately, he is going to miss our call today, but we're certainly going to get this recorded and make it available. We'll get it out to Jimmy and everybody else who wants to view. Just a couple of quick announcements, and then I'm going to get into the main content of our call. Also have a special guest speaker on that I want you guys to hear from. So with that, I appreciate everybody hopping on. This is a call that we don't take lightly. I work very, very hard to prepare great content. So let's get started. A couple of announcements. This coming Monday, which is May the 3rd, 6 p.m. Central. I know a lot of you guys tune in. Jimmy Hernandez, who's a tax planner and certified financial advisor, does educational calls on Monday. This one coming up Monday is especially intriguing because he's going to be talking about tips and ideas to help teach your kids or maybe even your grandkids the habit of saving and investing. So if you want more information on it, you can always contact me or contact Jimmy. It's a Zoom meeting. If you can see, the code number is down there. So what I'll do also is I will send that out into a group text with the Zoom code. So if you want to hop on, if you want to get registered for it, I think it would be really good. I'm certainly going to make every effort to hop on there. I want to hear what Jimmy has to say. Also, the rave reviews just keep rolling in on FEX Toolkit. Everything from customer service, how responsive they are, just to how unique the tool is. If you're not using it, you'd like to get your free trial, contact me. I'll send you out the link so you can have your credentials, so you can also use FEX Toolkit. Keep in mind, FEX Toolkit's not just for final expense anymore. They've also incorporated the simplified issue mortgage or simplified issue term products as well, with the full underwriting capability. If you decide to opt in, you want to use it, guys, it's $114 a year. So cheap. It's an annual subscription. It's well worth it. Also, one other announcement: if you're new, you need to order your starter kit. Get with me. One thing I just did, just got a new order of folders in. So if you've been thinking about reordering your folders, good timing. We kind of redid it here. Let me just kind of enlarge this a little bit. What we did is, on the folders, I added in a few of our new carriers. So you have a couple of new carriers on there. Also got rid of the word peace of mind whole life insurance, and we just go with peace of mind life insurance to kind of make it more inclusive to the different products that we sell, because we do have a lot of agents that just sell a lot of term product and a lot of mortgage protection. So I just thought the folder would be good if it was more inclusive and just use the word life insurance. So if you need to order, I just got a big shipment in. So I have over 1,000 folders in stock ready to ship. So if you need a new supply, get in touch with me. We'll make sure you get we'll get the folders out to you. So with that, this is going to be a continuation call. The title of the call is Top Agent and Part 2. A couple of weeks ago, we did Top Agent Part 1, which was recorded. We had a great response on it. Agents had asked me to do, actually, the first one we did was just called Top Agent. We didn't really name it, but now we're naming it Part 1. This is Part 2, because by request, a lot of agents had asked me to kind of do a follow-up, and I wanted to do that anyway, to do that. If you're checking this out and this is you're watching us on YouTube, maybe do me a favor, subscribe to our channel. We put out new content just about every single week, and we really do I think we do a great job of giving agents new content, very non-biased content. Just our goal at Senior Solutions is to always be honest, always tell you the truth, and have integrity and have total transparency. So we're always going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, and if you can appreciate that kind of approach, no nonsense, nuts and bolts, not a lot of smoke and mirrors, then definitely this is the channel for you. Go ahead and subscribe. With that, I do have some content I want to get into, but before we do that, I want to bring on a top agent, and we want to hear from Gerard a little bit. He's down in South Carolina. Just talked a little bit about him as far as what he's doing in his business, and maybe we can pick his brain a little bit and get some tips and different things that he's doing. I know a couple of weeks ago, I know Gerard typically is writing, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a week. One of the reasons why I wanted to get him on, he can tell you 2 or 3 weeks ago, he had a great week, over $12,000 of production. So we really want to hear firsthand, what is an agent doing to write over $12,000 in business. Also, talking about big producers, hats off last week. Stephen out of Ohio. I know Stephen runs in Ohio, and also travels to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in general as well. Last week, Stephen wrote over $15,000 in annualized premium. So great job, Stephen. Keep up the great work. You're a phenomenal producer. He's been with us for 5 or 6 years now. So keep up the great work. So with that, Gerard, I'm going to go ahead and get you unmuted, my friend. There we go. Let's see. You are also self-muted as well.
Okay, Joe, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly, man. Well, again, thanks for taking the time to be on the call. And one of the reasons why I want you on the call is that you're, when we first met a couple of months ago, I mean, right from the start, just the way you run your business and the fact that you treat this like a business, really caught my attention, and really just want to kind of, let you have an open discussion and just talk to us a little bit about, what you're doing, in your business. So I'd like to hear from you, maybe a little bit about lead generation, like, what types of leads are you working? Not necessarily the vendors, but, more is it Facebook leads, direct mail, telemarketing leads? Are you generating your own lead? And talk to us a little bit about what is it? I guess at the end of the day, what I want to know and what everybody wants to know, what does it take to have a $12,000 week of submitted premium? So I'll turn the call over to you and let you introduce yourself, talk a little bit, and then I'll probably kind of interrupt a little bit and ask a few questions if that's okay.
Sure, that's fine. Thanks for having me on the call, Joe. I really appreciate all that you do for the team and myself. You're always there to answer questions, give me some advice, in-home tips and things like that. So I definitely appreciate that. And your YouTube channel, I watch this channel all the time, late at night when I'm in the car. It really keeps me inspired and it keeps me going. So, kudos to you for having this channel on YouTube.
Thanks, bud.
So good afternoon, team. My name is Gerard Alston out of Columbia, South Carolina, and I am so excited about this business that we have in front of us right now with insurance. I feel that what it boils down to is pretty much two things. It's just a matter of having the right attitude and doing the activity, and that's it. It's going to start with your mindset. You have to have it in your mind that you can do this business. All it takes is you making contact, getting in front of people, and writing business. As far as leads are concerned, what I'm doing is I'm buying mainly internet leads. So I'm buying them all in my county. So I don't mind driving, hour and a half out from my county. I'm buying leads a couple times a week. I'm investing probably about $750 to $1,000 a week on leads. That's going to give me around 300 new prospects for me to reach out to.
How many prospects?
About 300 on average or more.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a lot.
It's a lot. And so what I'm doing is the leads they're not brand new, so they're aged.
Okay.
1 month old, 2 month old, 3 month old leads. So that way I can buy a lot in volume. And I'm all about massive activity. I'm a firm believer of the law of large numbers. So I like to have the deck stacked in my favor and the numbers working for me, because even if you're not good in this business, you can make up in numbers what you lack in skill. So I want to make as many phone calls as I possibly can make. Every single week, I'm probably averaging between 700 to 1,000 phone calls a week.
All right. Can I ask you a question about those phone calls?
Yes,
So are you making those manually, or do you plug the leads into a dialer?
I'm making the calls manually.
Got it. Okay. All right.
I'm making the calls manually. So what I typically do, I'm pretty much making phone calls 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Anytime I have a gap in my schedule, my thing is I'm making phone calls to set up appointments for the next day. If I get a no-show out in the field, I always have my leads with me in the car. So what I do is put a route together and do some door knocking. I feel that you have to get good at making phone calls as well as door knocking, because there are some people who will just not ever answer the phone. I don't care how many times you call them. When you call them, it's going to always go to voicemail,
Yeah.
or they're just not going to answer the phone, or the number's bad, but they have an address. So I can just go to that house and door knock them. And I've written sales just from being out and about, getting no-showed, putting in a route, and I go to 4 or 5 homes. I get in the door, and I write a policy. So it's all about taking the initiative. I feel the way I look at everything is I feel like I'm always being watched, and I feel like at times, like imagine yourself as if you were being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Being recorded, and you had to play back that video of your activity for that week. Would you be happy with your activity that week?
Right.
Think about it. If you're not on the phone trying to schedule an appointment, if you're not in the home, you're pretty much out of business. So you have to find things to do in the downtime. And that's going to be door knocking or making phone calls, one or the other. That's what it's going to take. And so I feel that, for the week when I wrote $12,000 in business, actually 9,000 of that came in one day, on a
Really?
Monday. Came in one
I
day.
mean, was it just one giant policy, or did you, I mean, how many apps made up the 9,000?
The first appointment that I had, it was a big term policy with return of premium.
Okay.
That policy was over $4,500 in annualized premium
Oh, yeah,
just
that
in
is
that
big.
one home. And the second appointment, I looked on my calendar and I had a question mark beside it because I felt it was a very shaky appointment. So Um, Never prejudge the appointments. I mean, when I called her to schedule it, it was very loud in the background. Really couldn't hear her, and I always make sure to put like a question mark or a scale of 1 to 5 on how solid the appointment would be. But she was questionable. So
Okay.
I went to her home, and she got a policy on her and her husband, and she had 6 kids. So it was 8 policies in that one home.
Wow. Okay.
So, so that was an appointment. And then actually, that appointment ran over because I was doing the e-apps and paper apps. So I
Yeah.
missed an appointment.
That was more of a term. That was a term or a whole life policy.
The parents were whole life, and the kids were whole life as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
So those are whole life. And then I wrote 2 more additional whole life policies that day. And it was over $9,000 just that, just that day. And I was getting paid, a couple of days from that because that big policy hit my account within 2 days. So that
That's
was a
nice.
nice chunk of change. And so that really kind of kept me going, and, wrote some more, wrote an additional $3,000 rest of the week, and ended up with over $12,000 that week. And it was a great week. And normally I'm setting between 15 to 20 appointments a week on average. And that week I didn't have that many appointments scheduled. It just worked out in my favor by just being busy, and just doing the activity. And so that's pretty much all I did. And just going forward, I just kind of kept that momentum going, continuously buying leads, reinvesting in my business,
Right.
and managing my mindset. That's crucial, because this can be a very emotional business. You can go out, write big numbers, and in the next week, it may not be like that. So you don't want to get too excited, even though it's so hard not to get too excited.
Sure. Yeah.
But also, you don't want to get too down. That's why it's important to self-develop yourself in the meantime. Whether that's first thing in the morning, turn your car into a drive time university. Put some positive audio in to feed your mind and keep you going through those tough times, because you're going to get no shows. There's no way around that. You have to always, remain positive despite what's going to come towards you. So just being positive, having the right mindset, realizing that, you can't make a sale in every home. A lot of people are going to want to think about it for whatever reason. You could do your best. You can put everything out on the table, but at the end of the day, it's on the client. So you cannot get caught up on, oh, they want to think about it. It can be hard at times because, you show them so much value, what this product can do for them, but they have to want it for themselves. So that's what I've
I
been
found
doing.
that true as well, is that you can't make them want it. You know what I
Right.
mean? I mean, you can't, I mean, that's something that you can give them all the features and the benefits and, why it makes sense, and even, dive into the emotional part. But as salespeople, the one thing we can't do is, I mean, we can't make them, we can entice them, we can encourage them, and, do everything in our power. But like you said, man, at the end of the day, it's up to them. And the one thing I always like to say is that, you can't, you should not get emotionally attached to the outcome of every sale or every presentation. And the one thing that I really like about what you're saying too, um, and the one thing that will keep agents from getting emotionally attached to the outcome is by having a lot of people to talk to. So, I mean, listen, you got one agent who's getting, 5 or 10 leads a week, and another agent that's getting 300 leads a week. The thing about having that many leads is it's like, you almost really, it's not that you don't care, but it's almost like, you know what? I'm not worried about it. I got 200 other people to communicate to share my story with. And there's something that Jimmy and I always used to refer to, and we called it lead poverty. And lead poverty is when you have so few little leads, you're like so uptight and so anxious about the outcome of every lead. The cure to that is to have more leads than you have time, because then you honestly, you don't even worry about it. You're just like, man, next, next. And I think that, to me, it
Right.
kind of seems like that's the approach that you're taking. You're treating your business and you're attacking it with so much activity that, you know what, if they don't buy, they don't buy. I don't care. I'm moving on to the next one. And I like the fact that you said that you're putting the odds in your favor. So,
Right.
um, and I knew you probably have more to add. I'll let you finish up, and then I just have a couple of recaps, and I had some questions for you too.
Sure. Yeah. And also you want to get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable, you know, in every aspect of the business. So get uncomfortable buying leads. I went from I've invested, my first 30 days in this business full time, I invested over $3,500. That
Okay.
was very uncomfortable for me because my previous job, that's what I was bringing home on my job. So
Right.
that was very uncomfortable for me. It still is, but when you get uncomfortable, you want to always remain uncomfortable. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's
Okay.
uncomfortable to door knock at times, but get uncomfortable and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Right.
So when it comes to making phone calls, I was making, 40, 50 phone calls a day on my last job, and now I'm going to making 300 phone calls when I'm making some dials at times. So that was uncomfortable for me, but it's worth it. Anytime you can get in a home and write a policy and make 500 to 1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000, $4,000 in that home, how much was each one of those phone calls worth? Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
the payoff is always worth it. The reward is always greater than the risk. And that's how I see it. When I'm making these phone calls, I have a stack of 200 leads stacked right beside me. And to me, I'm just kind of sifting and sorting through those leads. Just
Right.
like someone, whenever you're dealing cards, it's 52 cards in a deck. Guess what? There's always four aces in that deck, no matter what. It's always four aces in that deck. So I'm just trying to find, where are my aces? They're in there somewhere. I just have to get through them. So how fast can I sift and sort through those leads to find the few that's going to allow me to, come to their home, provide a service, explain what we do, explain how we can help them solve their problem. And when you get in the home, I mean, that's the easy part. That's the
Right.
easy part. I mean, you closing, even if you're horrible, you're going to close at least half of them. So if you
True.
have,
Yeah, I
if you have
agree.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're horrible, you're going to close at least half of them, but you got to have the volume. You got to have 20 to get the 10 that's going to show. And the 10 that show, you're going to close at least 5. That's if you're horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta think about it. If someone lets you in their house to make a presentation, I mean, like you said, even if you're horrible, you got a 50-50 shot. I mean, they let
Right.
you in the house. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, the other thing I just want to add, or just to comment on what you said, I don't know where you picked this up from, but you talked about sifting and sorting, like going through the deck of 52 cards to find those aces. I think a lot of salespeople don't understand, really, as professional salespeople and prospecting, is that's really what we're doing. We're sifting. We're sifting and sorting. It's like that old analogy of the miners, the gold rush miners that would get in the stream with their pan and just sift and looking for those little pieces of gold. That's what we're doing as salespeople, as we get our leads in and we become really professional marketers and prospectors. Is that, man, we're just sifting and sorting to find those people that are going to allow us to make that presentation. So these are some really, I mean, so let me ask you this question. I know the answer, but I forgot. What was your line of work before you got into insurance? What'd you do for a living?
I was a college recruiter. So I worked at different colleges over the past 10 years. Very similar to this, as a matter of fact. We got leads. We would get maybe 5 leads a week. And we would make phone calls. And I would call students, invite them to come out to the campus for a visit and show them the programs that we offer. And then they would do an application. I had a calendar. I had my own office. I got no-showed. But when they came into my office, 9 times out of 10, they're looking to start classes.
Yeah, you're
But
gonna
guess what? A
study.
lot of times throughout the process, they fall off throughout the process. They do an application and don't come back in to complete the additional paperwork for classes. So it's the same type thing, just a different service, different
Right.
service.
You know what? And I think we did talk about that. I kind of forgot about that. And the one thing that I find, Gerard, is that people like yourself that come into the business in what I would say, relatively quickly have success is people that have done the work prior. In other words, being the professional recruiter is that you had a tons of transferable skills, and you were able to use those prospecting skills, and you already understood the law of large numbers and knew that you need more prospects, you needed more leads, you needed more people to talk to, and you had time. And where I see, sometimes agents that come on board and I'll use the word struggle or maybe have a slower learning curve is the fact that they have to learn all that from scratch. They didn't have a really good like a good sales background before coming into the business. They had to learn those skills. And it's a skill and it's a mindset. So I will, so thanks for refreshing my memory on your background. I knew you had to have some very professional training prior and skills. What else? What other words of encouragement or tips or what else for those agents that are listening that want to up their sales game? They want more production. They want to be a top producer like yourself. What are some other maybe some ideas or some tips that you could give us to reach those high levels of production?
I would say go back to your reason why. Why are you in this business? And I feel that your why should be so strong enough that it should make you cry. Your why should make you cry. Whether
It
it's
really should. You're right.
whether it's being there for your family, being able to earn enough income to do what you want to do for your family, being there for your kids. Maybe you want to give to, a church. Your why is very personal to you. Maybe you want to, retire your parent or get your spouse out of employment. What is your why? Your why should be very big. And by having a strong why, it's going to conquer any obstacle that you're going to have running against you. I have affirmations in my car, my goals that I have with this business that go with me every place I go. and it's right in front of me. So that way, that's driving me every single day.
You look at them
Um,
every day, your affirmations?
yes, yes. It keeps me going. Also, self-development. I once heard before that formal education makes you a living, but self-education makes you a fortune. So self-education books are key. Personal development. Two great books that come to mind right now are first book is called Go for No.
Yeah, I love that book.
Go for No. We're so programmed to always getting told yes all the time, always setting yes goals. But the book Go for No talks about setting those no goals. You know, no is how you get to those yeses. The more no's that you get, the more yeses you're going to get.
Right.
The second book I recommend is Failing Forward by John Maxwell. That's a great book as well, talking about failure. You have to fail your way to the top. You know, and failure works like in sports, for example. You know, if you're batting 3 out of 10 in baseball, meaning you strike out 7 times out of 10, they're paying you $4 million a year to strike out. To
Right.
strike out. Michael Jordan missed 9,000 shots in his career.
That's hard
Over
to believe.
9,000. He lost more than 300 games, but he's still the greatest. So just again, it's just attitude and activity, taking massive action. Massive activity will give you massive results.
Awesome. Yeah, well said, man. Well, a couple of things that caught my attention when you first came on. Um, I heard you talk a lot about attitude in activity, and I think that's so underplayed sometimes. And we talk about, oh man, you got to have a great attitude, but man, at the end of the day, it is about attitude, and whether you like it or not. When we get up in the morning, we have the choice of having a great attitude or a bad attitude. And then the other thing that we have total control over is our activity. We control whether or not we're going to make 10 dials a day or 100 dials a day or 300 dials a day, or go out and knock on 20 doors or knock on 2 doors. We have total control over our activity. So we really have control over our income and what we're going to be able to produce for any given day or any given week. Um, I'm just really kind of blown away by your numbers. The one thing I will tell you is that, and I've said this a million times, I think most agents in this business, they truly do underestimate the amount of prospecting required to write five, six, $7,000 a week in production. I mean, it is all about massive activity. It's not, what we do. It's not a real complicated business. It's relatively simple, and I think the simpler we keep it and kind of getting back to the basics, the easier it becomes, and we focus on the key things, which is one, our number one priority is making sure in any given day or any given week that we have enough clients, enough potential prospects to share our message with. And then the second part is the activity, is having that massive activity. When we talk about massive activity, man, hats off to you. 700 dials a week. I got to be honest with you. I think that's more than I've ever done. I mean, that's massive activity, massive activity. So certainly, hats off to you. I mean, you're doing a great job with your attitude and just the way you approach the business. I got to be honest, I'm really not surprised you're having so much success. So I personally want to congratulate you for the success that you are having and continued success. And I appreciate our friendship and relationship, and I appreciate you being on the Senior Solutions team for sure.
Thanks, Joe. I really appreciate it. And one last thing I just want to say is that success loves speed. The
What do you mean
faster
by that? Clarify that statement.
success loves speed. You want to try to get to go through your first 100 appointments as fast as possible.
Okay.
You could stretch it out over the course of a year, 2 years, or compress it within 30 days. Do it in 30 days, 60 days max. Just go through that as fast as possible. Success loves speed. You don't want to go slow.
Yeah, compressing timetables does a lot. And here's the thing, when you compress timetables, the funny thing is that the faster you go, the luckier you get. Have you noticed that?
Yes, and it's not luck. It's just you're just putting in the activity and
I
crazy
know, but I
things
like
just
calling it
happen. Yeah,
luck, you know?
yeah,
You're right, it's
yeah.
not lucky. It's just doing, it's doing the work, obviously.
Right,
Oh man, let
right.
me get this, okay, it's weird. Okay. All right, man. Well, thanks for being on the call. I'm certainly got to have you on. Again, thanks for sharing your story, your success, man. I'm going to go ahead and again appreciate you, appreciate the business that you do send us. Gerard, thanks a lot. I'm going to go ahead and mute you out. I'm going to go ahead. I've got a few other things we're going to talk about. I'm going to continue with the call, and we'll certainly get this recorded. I'm sure this is going to be, I have a feeling this is going to be one of the highest viewed calls that we've ever done. So thanks again for being on.
You're welcome.
All right, buddy. Take care. Man, I feel like we could just kind of like end the call right there, man. That was like so incredible. Well, we've got about, let me just take about 10 minutes and just go through a little bit of other content that I have. I gotta admit, I mean, Gerard and we did not prep this call at all. I mean, this was not scripted. I didn't tell him what to say. I mean, he just came on and talked from his heart, and you can really tell why he's certainly a top producer. With that, let me get into a little bit of the content that I had prepared, talking about, and again, this is a continuation of top producer. Just as a recap, and what I will do is in the description of the video, I will embed a link to the first call. So if you missed it, which was Top Agent Part 1, I'll put the link in there. You can go back and watch that. This is Part 2. But just to recap, we talked about, what did we talk about on that last call? I think Jimmy really talked about income producing activity. So not just, I mean, massive activity is great, but it can't be just massive activity on organizing your files and doing different things. It's about massive activity on income producing activity. And the two major things that are income producing activity, one is prospecting, and two is making presentations. At the end of the day, that's how we make money. If we're not talking to people, we're not making money. If we're not making phone calls, we're not knocking on doors, we're not making money. And then the second thing that I really talked about a lot in the first call is personal growth, and what personal growth means to me, and how that really has propelled my career over the last 10 to 12 years. And of course, Gerard just echoed those same sentiments about personal growth, and he gave us two great recommendations. One is Go for No, which is a great book. I should reread it. It's been a long time since I read it. And then the other one was Failing Forward by John Maxwell. I'm not sure if I've read that. I've read probably 5 or 6 John Maxwell books, who I love. Not sure if I read that one. So to finish up our call today on Top Agent, the couple of things I'm going to talk about. One is invest in your business. In interviewing Gerard, over and over, he kept talking about, my business, my business. And at the end of the day, it is your business. And that's the one big thing, is that as business owners, we are the president and the CEO of our own company, and the buck stops here. So if you're looking at your bottom line and you don't like what you see, man, the only place to point the blame is back this way, is to ourselves. When I first got into this in the insurance business, it was in 2009. I had a lot of really good mentors. There was I wasn't big fans of everybody and everybody in the organization I was with, but I will tell you this, man, I had some really incredible mentors during that time. Let me silence my phone. I had it on vibrate, but let me go ahead and totally mute it out. I had some really great mentors, and one of the things that I learned very early in my career in insurance is that if I'm going to succeed, is that we truly do have to treat this like it's our own business. And in your business, you're going to have to invest. And I'm not talking about just money. It really comes down to 3 things that you need to invest in. One is time. The thing about it is that I think, and this is myself included, when I first got in, is that I wanted to be an overnight success. I wanted immediate success. The thing about it is, it doesn't happen typically. The people that seem like they have overnight success in this business, like a Gerard as an example, those are people that have already paid the price. They've already invested hundreds, if not thousands of hours in prospecting. And they're coming in, they're a fine-tuned machine. They understand the law of large numbers. A person like myself that had never really been self-employed, I didn't really understand the time part. I've been in this business since 2009. So that's going on 11 years, right? I'm still not where I want to be. I still wish, after being in this business 11 years, I still personally thought I would be further along in my business and my career than where I am. So I understand it does take time. One thing that I learned is that to be successful, sometimes it takes longer than what you want it to be. It takes longer than what you anticipate. So you have to pay the price with time. And the one thing I know for sure about time is that, and I truly believe this from my heart of hearts, is that if you never stop, you never quit, and you keep doing the right thing long enough, is that you will be rewarded. But you got to put in the time. If you look at anybody who's ever been successful in anything, whether it's business, academics, sports, it's because they invested the time. They realized that it was going to take time in order to be successful. The other part that we, quite frankly, I wish we could get around it. We can't get around it. The second thing that we have to invest in our business, because it is a business, is money. Ultimately, marketing, advertising, self-development. What I can tell you is that self-development is not free. You have to invest your time. It also costs money. It costs money to go to conferences. It costs money to read, to get good quality books. If you sign up for Audible, it costs money. It's not free. So even your self-development, you got to be willing to pay that price with time and money. For your business, it's going to cost money. If you're looking to do it and not invest any money, man, you're just going to have to I feel, accept the fact that you're probably going to have a mediocre business. Okay, now there's always exceptions. There's always exceptions to the rule. There are certain people out there that uh, are very good at, let's say, self-generated leads, word of mouth type of advertising. But what I got to tell you, that's an anomaly. It's one out of a million. So you want to put the odds in your favor. Do you want to get lucky and maybe be that one out of a million guy that doesn't have to spend a lot of money in marketing and advertising and just has business fall in their lap because of a natural market or just their miraculously God-given talents? Not me. I want to put the odds in my favor, and I know that putting the odds in my favor, like Gerard, he admitted he's spending in advertising $750 to $1,000 a week, but the reward is there. He has more clients to talk to. He has more opportunities. He has more at bats. And even if he doesn't have the best closing ratio, his bottom line is going to be so much higher than the agent that is trying to strictly rely on referrals, and maybe they get 2 or 3 referrals a week. Maybe they get 10 referrals a week and they're able to close half of those, and those making 5 sales. He's making 10 or 15 sales a week, doubling or even tripling that business. So listen, at the end of the day, nobody likes to spend money on marketing and advertising and lead generation, but what's your choice? What are your options? You're going to cold call out of a phone book? You're going to rely strictly upon word of mouth advertising? You're still going to have to invest probably 5 times more in the time part of the investment. Man, I just tell you what I have found personally, it's much more efficient. It's much easier. Let me outsource my marketing. Let me take my money that I'm earning from commissions. I'm going to outsource it to the professionals that know how to generate leads. Let them generate the leads for me. So this way I can spend more time prospecting and less time just, cold calling and trying to do my own lead generation. The other thing, lastly, what we have to invest in our business is energy. This is a business that if you're going to be in it to win it, it requires a lot of your energy, man. It requires your blood, sweat, and tears, man. You really have to be passionate, and I see this all the time. The agents that seem to be the most successful in this business are the ones that have high energy. And the reason why they have high energy is because they're really passionate about what you do. And what I have found is that when you have a big why you're doing it, and you're very passionate about why you're doing it, that energy level just seems to flow. If you're doing something that you don't like and you hate it and you dread it, man, your energy levels are going to be in the dump. You're thinking to yourself, "Oh, this sucks. I don't, man, your energy levels are going to suck if you think what you're doing is sucking. That's going to affect your whole attitude, and without having a positive attitude, man, that's going to affect your whole business. Gerard said it himself when he first got on. The 2 things he said that really caught my attention, I wrote these down. He said, "Man, it's all about your attitude and your activity. That's it." He really summed it up in those kind of like those 2 words: attitude, activity. You got to have a great attitude, and I think that goes along with having energy. And it's easier to have great energy and have positive energy when you really love what you're doing. And the thing about it is, it's a lot easier. This business is a lot easier when you're making money. This can be a tough business, and especially if you're struggling, it can be it can be tough. It's tough to have good energy when you feel like you're always struggling. And the reason why a lot of agents are struggling is because they're honestly typically not following the system. They're, looking for that magical shortcut. We've all heard, hey, Joe, what's the shortcut? See if we have time. I don't want this call to run long. I got great news for you. Okay, there is a shortcut to this business. Okay, and the shortcut is not taking any shortcuts. Okay, the shortcut to success is following the system. At the end of the day, in order to be successful in any business, it's important to have a system. Now, you can either create your own system, and it could take you 5 or 10 years to really fine tune that system. Okay. A shortcut would be follow a proven system that already works. And that's one of the advantages of working with an agency like a Senior Solutions, is the fact that we already have the system in place. Okay. All you really need to do is follow it. And one of the things you can ask yourself, and let's be honest, sometimes I don't follow the system, and I pay the price. Ask yourself, are you following the system? And typically what I find is that here's what I know. All agents are going to follow one or two systems. They're either going to follow I'll say the Senior Solution system, or follow the system and the marketing group that they're in. If you're watching this, you're not with Senior Solutions, maybe you're with another organization, you're either following their system that they put in place, or you're following your own system. Okay. Now here's the thing about it is, if you're with Senior Solutions, I can unequivocally tell you that I know that our system works, because it's worked for me. It's helped me become a top producer. I've helped hundreds of other agents become top producers, make tons of money for their family. The thing that I don't know is that I don't know if your system works or not. Okay, you have to find that. And I think sometimes it's human nature to think that we can do it better. And I've thought that myself. And I got to be honest with you. The Senior Solution system is compiled of things that I've learned from, a bunch of different people. And over time, and trust me, to develop the Senior Solution system, it took me years and years and years. So it's a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of energy to develop the system. But what we have now is that we have a what I can say is a time proven system that works over and over. You just got to be able to use it. With that, I think we have a great call today. I really wish Jimmy could have been on. Hopefully we can get him back on next week. I don't know if we'll do it next week, but I think what we'll do is that there's a lot of material that I didn't get to that I want to get to. How about we do this? How about either next week or the week after, is that we will definitely have a continuation of this call, and we will label it as Top Agent Part 3. And again, I'm going to get this recorded, and I'll get it out to everybody. We'll get it published on our channel. I'll send you the link. And in the description below, we're going to include the link to the first video that we did, Top Agents. So God bless everybody. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on. I really think this is probably one of the best calls we've had all year. So thanks for being on. Love you guys. Have an awesome weekend, and take care. Bye-bye.